What does it take to prove your worth when the world only sees a nickname? On the deck of the USS Valor, Lieutenant Emily Barbie Carter stood tall, her blonde hair tucked neatly under her officer's cap, her eyes scanning the horizon. To her crew, she was an animalia young woman in her mid-20s, fresh from the Naval Academy, whose nickname clung to her like salt on skin. Barbie, they called her, a jab born from her polished appearance and unwavering optimism. Whispers followed her through the ship's corridors, too soft, too green, too perfect to belong in the gritty world of naval warfare. She heard the snickers, felt the weight of skeptical glances, but Emily carried on, her heart steeled by a quiet resolve. She wasn't here to fit their mold. She was here to break it. The Valor, a destroyer slicing through the Atlantic, was on a routine patrol. The crew, a mix of seasoned sailors and cocky newcomers, bustled with the rhythm of discipline and bravado. Emily's role as a junior navigation officer demanded precision, yet every order she gave was met with smirks. Barbie's playing captain, a petty officer, muttered one morning, loud enough for her to hear. She didn't flinch, but the sting lingered. Her peers, mostly men hardened by years at sea, saw her as a novelty, a doll in a uniform. Even her commanding officer, Captain Hargrove, a grizzled veteran with a voice like gravel, seemed to regard her with a mix of amusement and doubt. "You've got the book smarts, Carter," he'd said once, "but let's see if you've got the guts." Days bled into weeks, the ocean stretching endlessly around them. Emily poured herself into her work, charting courses with meticulous care, double-checking coordinates, and studying weather patterns. She knew the sea was unforgiving, and she refused to let her nickname define her competence. Still, the crew's mockery was relentless. During mess hall banter, someone would inevitably joke, "What's Barbie plotting today?" A course to the dollhouse. Laughter would erupt, and Emily would smile tightly, her jaw clenched, her heart whispering, "Just wait." Then came the storm. It began as a murmur on the radar, a tropical depression brewing far to the south. Within hours, it escalated into a Biasta Category 4 hurricane barreling toward the Valor's patrol zone. The crew's bravado faded as Captain Hargrove barked orders to secure the ship. Waves swelled, slamming against the hull, and the sky turned a sickly gray. Emily, stationed at the navigation console, tracked the storm's path with a sinking feeling. The Valor was too far from safe harbor to outrun it. They'd have to ride it out. As the hurricane closed in, chaos erupted. The ship rocked violently, equipment sliding across the deck. A junior sailor, Seaman Torres, barely 19, froze at his post, his face pale with fear. The crew's usual hierarchy dissolved under the storm's pressure, and Emily saw her moment. She knelt beside Torres, her voice steady despite the howling wind. "You've got this," she told him, her hand firm on his shoulder. "Focus on me, one step at a time." He nodded, shaky but trusting, and followed her instructions to secure the radar station. It was a small victory, but it sparked something in Hera fire that burned brighter than the crew's doubts. Then came the twist. Amid the storm's fury, a distress call crackled through the radio. A civilian fishing vessel, the Mariner's Hope, was stranded 20 miles away, its engine dead, its crew of 6 clinging to life in the monstrous waves. Captain Hargrove hesitated. Deploying a rescue team in these conditions was suicide, but abandoning the Mariner's Hope meant certain death for its crew. The bridge fell silent, the weight of the decision crushing. Emily, standing at her console, felt her pulse quicken. She'd studied the storm's patterns for hours, mapping its iron narrow window of calmer seas. It was a long shot, but she knew they could reach the vessel if they timed it perfectly. "Captain," she said, her voice cutting through the tension, "I can plot a course through the eye." We can get to them. Hargrove's eyes narrowed, his skepticism palpable. You sure about this, Barbie? The nickname stung, but she met his gaze. Yes, sir. I'm sure. Her confidence was unshakable, born from hours of preparation the crew had never seen. Hargrove nodded, reluctant but out of options. Do it, Lieutenant. Emily's fingers flew across the console, plotting a course that danced on the edge of insanity. The crew watched, some with grudging respect, others with outright disbelief. As the Valor turned into the storm's heart, the wind screamed and the ship groaned under the strain. Emily's course held, guiding them through the eye's eerie calm. The mariner's hope appeared on the horizon, a battered speck in the chaos. Emily volunteered for the rescue team, ignoring the raised eyebrows. I know the numbers, she said. I'm going. The rescue was grueling. Emily, alongside 3 others, boarded a small boat, battling waves that threatened to swallow them whole. Among the team was Petty Officer Daniels, the loudest of her mockers, now silent and focused. As they reached the fishing vessel, Emily took charge, directing the team to secure the terrified crew. A woman, clinging to a life preserver, sobbed as Emily pulled her aboard. You're safe now, Emily said, her voice a lifeline. Daniels, drenched and wide-eyed, muttered, Didn't think you had it in you, Carter. She didn't respond. There was no time for vindication. The twist deepened when they discovered the mariner's hope carried an unexpected passenger young girl, no older than 10, huddled in the cabin. Her name was Lila, and her wide eyes locked onto Emily's with desperate trust. Lila's father, the vessel's captain, was unconscious, injured in the storm. Emily carried the girl to safety, whispering reassurances as the boat rocked. Lila's presence shifted something in the crew. This wasn't just a mission, it was personal. Emily's calm under pressure became their anchor. Back on the Valor, the rescued crew was stabilized, and Lila clung to Emily's side. The storm raged on, but Emily's course had saved them. As the hurricane passed, the crew's demeanor shifted. The nickname Barbie faded from their lips, replaced by Lieutenant Carter. Daniels, once her loudest critic, approached her on deck. You did good out there, he said, his voice gruff but sincere. Emily nodded, her eyes on the horizon. Just doing my job. Captain Hargrove called her to the bridge days later. The crew had submitted a report praising her leadership, an unprecedented move for a junior officer. You proved me wrong, Carter, he said, a rare smile breaking through. You've got the guts. Emily didn't gloat. She didn't need to. The sea had tested her, and she'd answered. In the weeks that followed, the Valor's crew became a unit, their respect for Emily unspoken but palpable. Lila, reunited with her recovering father, sent Emily a drawing of a blonde officer steering a ship through a storm. Tucked into the corner were the words, "My hero." Emily kept it in her locker, a reminder that worth isn't measured by nicknames or doubts, but by actions in the face of chaos. The ocean stretched before the Valor, vast and unpredictable, much like life itself. Emily stood at her post, no longer just Barbie, but Lieutenant Carter tested, proven, and unbreakable. Her story wasn't about silencing the mockers. It was about saving lives, including her own sense of self. In the end, the hurricane didn't just reveal a hero, it forged one.